In this video, we're going to show you how to replace an intake manifold on your Ram 1500. This is going to be located on top of the motor. Let's get started. Open the fuse cover, and now we're going to remove fuse 70. We're going to grab our fuse puller and pull our fuse. Now we're going to get in our vehicle and we can turn it on, and you're going to wait until it stalls out. Once it stalls out, try restarting the vehicle until it will not restart again. Using a 10mm wrench, loosen the negative battery terminal. Remove the negative battery terminal. Remove the connector from the intake. Push on the bottom button and pull straight back. Right below that connector, using an 8mm socket, we're going to loosen the clamp. Go to the other side of the intake and do the same thing. Pull the intake straight up off the throttle body and remove it off the airbox. Lift up on the engine cover. Pull straight out and remove it. Using a 13mm socket, remove the bolt on the front of the intake. Remove the connector for the throttle body. Pull that red locking tab back. Push down on the connector and remove it. Using a 13mm socket, remove the bottom nut for the bracket. Pull the bracket forward off of that stud. Using a trim tool, we're going to pop the Christmas tree out of that bracket. Following that harness back, we have one more Christmas tree clip. We're going to pop that off of our intake. We're going to remove the hard hose. On the bottom, there's two tabs that we have to push in towards each other and then up. And that'll pop this red lock tab up for us. And we can pull straight back and remove that hard line. We're going to remove the connector. There's a tab on bottom. Go ahead and push on that tab. Pull straight back and remove the connector. We're going to remove the hose from our intake. I'm going to use a pair of pliers, and I'm going to grab that hose and twist it. Just break it free. And then lift straight up and remove that booster hose. We have a plastic clip right here. Spread that apart. Pull that hose back and away. We're going to remove the plastic clip holding on this breather line, just using a trim tool, popping it out. Pull that up into the side. We're going to remove the PCV hose. We're going to push straight back and pull straight off and remove the hose. We're going to remove the line going to our throttle body. Pull straight off and remove the hose. This is also connected to the back of our intake. We're going to go down our line and remove all of the connectors for our injectors. To do this, you have to pick up on that red tab. And inside of there's going to be a black tab that you push on and pull straight up and remove the connector. This is our locking tab, and that's that black tab. Go down the line and repeat this process for any of the injectors. Moving on to the other side of the vehicle, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go down the line and remove all of those injector connectors. That's one. We're going to remove the foam insulator. Lift straight up and pull it off. You can remove the boot that came off. And your next injector connector is going to be located right here. And our last one's going to be located right here. Remove the connector. Now we're back on the other side of the motor. All the way on top and back, you're going to find this connector. Push on the clip right here, and push straight back and remove that connector. We're going to remove the plastic stay for the harness. Push it straight back. We have this harness traveling back to a connector all the way in the back of the intake. There's going to be a red lock tab that you have to push straight down, and then under that red lock tab is going to be our unlock tab. We're going to go ahead and push on that. Push on that unlock tab and release that connector and remove it. There's that red lock tab that we pushed down, and here is our button to unlock. Using a trim tool, we're going to pop the Christmas tree connector, holding our connector in the back. Then we're going to undo our fuel line to our rail. We're going to remove the connector for the fuel line. To do this, we're going to pull back on this top tab and lift that door up. Now squeeze those tabs in on top and push the red clip down. We're going to wrap our rag around our connector and we're going to pull straight back, disconnecting our fuel line from our rail. I'm going to hold my rag there for a second to let everything drain out. I'm going to wrap my rag around that connection and put it off to the side. Using an 8mm socket, we're going to remove all of the intake bolts. Do the same thing on the other side. Still working our way back. We have 2 more bolts. There's going to be one right here. Remove those last 2 bolts. With all the bolts removed, we're going to lift up on our intake manifold, and it should just lift, no problem. Double check and make sure all of your connections are undone. We're going to lift straight up on this intake. And remove it from the vehicle. We're going to remove the hose off the intake and swap it over to the new one. Using a 10mm socket, remove the bolt for the bracket. Remove the bracket and pull the hose off of the intake. Swap that over to the new one. Remove the clip from the intake. I'm going to slide a pick under it and pull it off. You have to pick up on this tab right here so that it can come out. We'll swap that over to the new intake and get our bracket installed. Snug the bolt down. Install the hose. Using an 8mm socket, remove the 4 bolts for the throttle body. Take a look on the back side. Be sure there's no rust or corrosion building up in here. Use a clean rag and wipe down the mating surface. Get rid of any of the old oil. Install the throttle body onto the new intake and get the bolts started by hand. Snug the bolts down. Do this in a cross pattern. Using a 10mm wrench, loosen the post. And swap the clip over. Reinstall the post and snug it down. Swap the oil cap over. Remove the grommet and swap it to the new. Do the same thing on the other one. Using a pair of pliers, going to gently undo the cap. Swap it over to the new. Lock it down. Remove the sensor off the back. Twist it. Pull straight up and remove it. Swap it to the new. Push down and click it into place. Using a 10mm socket, remove the bolt on either side for the fuel rails. We have one more on this far side. Remove the plastic post. Using a E5 socket, we're going to remove the post. Put that off to the side. We're going to lift straight up on our fuel rail and remove it from the intake. If you're having trouble, you can use a pry bar. Just be very careful. We want to pick it up and not damage any parts. We're going to pop over to the other side and do that same thing. We're going to move our fuel rail over to the new assembly and make sure it drops inside of that hose. Get all of the injectors lined up. Push straight down in and seat all of the O-rings. The same thing on the other side. Install the bolts for the fuel rail. Snug the bolts down. Do the same thing on the other side. To get straight shot access, I'm going to remove that hose, install my bolt, and reinstall that hose. Get it nice and snug, and we'll reinstall that peg. Torque the throttle body to 6 Newton meters in a cross pattern. Using a 10mm socket, remove the 2 bolts. Using an E5 socket, remove the stud. Remove the O-ring out of the old intake. Install the O-ring into the new intake. Be sure you give this a good once over. Check it for any rips or tears, or if it's tired and flat, now would be a good time to replace this. Install the sensor assembly. I'm going to get that stud started in the bottom. Get the other 2 bolts started and snug them down. Using a clean rag with some parts cleaner, we're going to go around and wipe down our mating surface. We're going to get rid of any of the old oil or dirt that's sitting. When you're wiping, you want to be sure if there's any dirt, you're wiping away from the port. We don't want to wipe all of that into our motor. Go around and do this on both sides of the intake. Bring the intake over to the vehicle. Drop the intake down into place. Go around and install the bolts for the intake. Just get all the bolts in place for now. Using a torque wrench, we're going to go around and torque our bolts in a sequence to 9 foot-pounds. Our first bolt's going to be here on the passenger side. It's going to be the 3rd bolt back from the front. Install the connector into the intake manifold. We're going to grab our fuel line and install it. Push until you hear a click. Push that lock up, pull back, make sure you can't remove it, and close that lock tab. While we're back here, we're going to install our injector harness. Push the connector down into place and close the locking tab. Repeat that process for all 4 injectors on this side. Install the connector onto the back of the intake. Close that red locking tab. Install the plastic stay onto the stud. We have 1 more connector right up top. Push until you hear a click. Install all of the injector connectors onto the injectors. Push down until you hear a click and close that locking tab. Repeat this process for the rest of the injectors. We're going to move our hose out of the way, and then we're going to pull our harness up. Install the plastic clip. Install the connector. Push until you hear a click. If you don't, give it a pull. Make sure it's locked on. Install the line, push the lock down, install the line onto the throttle body, install the booster hose onto the intake, push it all the way down, be sure it's fully seated. I'm going to slide this plastic retainer over, clip it onto our line. Install the foam isolator and grab the boot and get that installed as well. We're going to reach back and grab our breather hose. We're going to pull that forward. Install the clip. On that breather hose, we have a plastic retainer that will clip to this fuel line. We're going to install the air hose. Going from the oil cap over to our air box. Pull the front bracket up. Make sure it sits on that stud on the bottom, and we'll get that nut started. Get the bottom nut started and install the top bolt. Snug the bolt down. Snug down the bottom nut. Grab the harness and pull it over to the bracket. We're going to install that plastic clip into the bracket. Install the connector for the throttle body. Push until you hear a click. If you don't hear a click, give it a pull, make sure it's locked on, and close that locking tab. We have our intake sensor connector here. Install the intake cover. Be sure the rear 2 posts drop into the grommets and the front 2 as well. Install the intake onto the airbox. Pull it over to the throttle body. Put it right down on. Snug down the clamps. Install the connector. Push until you hear a click. Give it a pull. Make sure it's locked on. We're going to open up our fuse box and reinstall fuse 70. Close the fuse box. Install the negative battery cable. Snug down the terminal, get it nice and tight. On the first startup on your vehicle, after this job has been done, you're going to want to cycle the key 4 to 5 times to fill the fuel system before we try and crank it. Go ahead and turn your key on and off 4 to 5 times, hear the fuel pump run, and then go ahead and try and start it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.